is a beautiful morning. It is a beautiful day, the 24th day in the month of June 2024. We say good morning to you wherever you are listening to this Super Dial 99.1 Glow FM this morning. It's Monday, and we're glad that you joined us on this edition of Issues in the Dailies, where we update you on happenings in Nigeria and across the world. Ayola Fatukun is my name. With me this morning is
Mike Femi Halim is my name. Good morning, Nigerian. Thanks for joining us, Ayola. You're ready this morning as you're looking money-making Monday-like.
You're not bad too. All right, this morning I've got Punch, Vanguard, and also Daily Post newspaper.
All right, the leadership newspaper, the Guardian, as well as the Premium Times, Punch newspaper, and The Nation. All right, from here, we'll be taking headline stories before we give you the main gist this morning. Quite a number of stories on the pages of newspapers this morning. NBC shift to $700 million gas pipeline delivery date to August.
All right, from Punch newspaper, don't transmit a minimum wage bill without negotiation, Labour tells Tinubu.
All right, I will send bill to National Assembly to review NACO. That's coming from Governor Bago.
Federal government to punish survivors, approving salaries for JAPA workers.
Edo Guba Okwebo will correct wrongs of Obaseki, says APC.
50 reps write Tinubu pleas for Nnamdi Kanu's release.
All right, Mietiala speaking this morning. They say, we want Ministry of Livestock Development.
Serap decries 121 trillion naira debt. Seek probe of World Bank loan.
Oshun APC tackles Adeleke over sack of health workers.
All right, the next headline from Punch newspaper: Kano votes 99 million naira to reconstruct Bayero's palace.
All right, recruitment, and of course, this is from the Nation newspaper. Recruitment reopens festering police PCS feud.
From Vanguard newspaper, Labour to governors on minimum wage retrieve Nigeria from state of resentment, misery.
All right, quite a number of headlines we're tracking for your listening pleasure this morning. And of course, federal government to commence construction of additional 2,000 housing units in 8 states.
Okay, we take this break when we are back with several details of those headlines with more stories. Please stay with us.
All right, starting off this morning from the Nation newspaper, Tinubu calls for punishment of a civil servant receiving salaries abroad. President Bola Tinubu has sanctioned severe penalties for civil servants who relocate abroad while continuing to draw salaries, as well as those complicit in facilitating such fraudulent activities. Tinubu, while addressing participants at the grand finale of 2024 Civil Servants Week Award and Gala Night at the weekend, worried over revelations shared by the head of service regarding employees who unlawfully receive salaries after moving abroad without formal resignation. He said, and I quote, "We must ensure those responsible are held accountable and restitute is made. The corporate must refund the money they fraudulently collected, and their supervisors and department heads must also face consequences for their complicity." Emphasizing the importance of a robust and disciplined civil service, President Tinubu underscored that such misconduct underlines the integrity and effectiveness of government institutions. President's remarks come amidst ongoing effort to reform the civil service, highlighted by recent initiatives aimed at enhancing employees' welfare and performance across ministries and departments. Read for more from the Nation newspaper.
The next story from Punch newspaper: don't transmit minimum wage bill without negotiation, Labour tells Tinubu. The organized Labour has urged President Bola Tinubu to consider consulting and reaching an agreement with its leadership before transmitting the proposed bill on the new minimum wage to the National Assembly. This was as the union admitted that their much anticipated meeting of the National Executive Committee, which will accommodate about 300 Labour leaders, is being stalled by Tinubu's delay in forwarding the bill. In his Democracy Day broadcast on Wednesday, the president had announced that consensus had been reached between the federal government and Labour on the new minimum wage, as they claim both the Nigeria Labour Congress and the Trade Union Congress debunked. Tinubu also assured that an executive bill will soon be sent to the National Assembly to formalize the agreement, emphasizing his administration's preference for a democratic approach over dictatorship in dealing with labor matters. But almost a month after his speech, the former Lagos State Governor has left the camp of Labour and Nigerians waiting in anxiety on what the federal government is up to. Interested in the story? You can check for more. That's from Punch newspaper this morning.
All right, in the Guardian newspaper, National Assembly under pressure on new minimum wage law compliance. It comes over two riders this morning. 62,000 naira can't do anything, says RG Kalu insists on 90,000 naira. NLC kicks against decentralization of minimum wage negotiations. Ahead of the resumption from the Salah break next month, the two chambers of the National Assembly are under immense pressure on how to deploy legislative powers to resolve the national minimum wage tussle and ensure compliance by all stakeholders. The pressure became more pronounced following reports that the apex legislative body was contemplating sanctions against states that failed to comply with the minimum wage law that will be enacted soon. The federal government, including the executive and legislative arms of government, is on the same page in ensuring that states and private sector raise the wage above 62,000 naira that had been rejected by Labour. It was learned that a major headache was how to ensure the state and private sector comply with the figures that will be contained in the new minimum wage law. The pressure became more intense with the opposition mounted by the state governors, who insisted they wouldn't pay 60,000 naira minimum wage. An executive bill is expected to be submitted to the National Assembly by President Tinubu on the new minimum wage before the end of this month, ahead of resumption of lawmakers in the first week of July 2024. Read for more this morning from the Guardian newspaper.
All right, still on minimum wage matters, this time from Vanguard newspaper. Labour to governors on minimum wage: retrieve Nigeria from state of resentment, misery. Rider to that, awaiting Tinubu's final decision before taking stand. The organized Labour has warned some governors not to plunge the country into a state of resentment, misery and impoverishment through wrong pieces of advice to President Bola Tinubu. It also reiterated that the position taken by President Tinubu on two proposals before him from the final report of the tripartite committee on the national minimum wage would determine its next line of action. Recall that while the government team and organized private sector had made an offer of 62,000 naira on the last day of the meeting of the tripartite committee on the new national minimum wage, while organized labor comprising the Nigeria Labour Congress (NLC) and the Trade Union Congress (TUC) demanded 250,000 naira as a new living wage. Speaking to newsmen at the weekend, the head of information of the NLC, Comrade Benson Okpa said the two labor centers would subject whatever figure the president would submit to the National Assembly to the decision of the appropriate organs of the two labor centers. He also ruled out the option of rushing to strike immediately, explaining that it was not every problem that would be solved with strike, adding that strike was always the last option. More on the story you can check for it on Vanguard newspaper.
All right, Daily Post has this one. We want Ministry of Livestock Development, Mieti Allah speaking this morning. The Fulani Socio-Cultural Group, Mieti Allah Cattle Breeders Association of Nigeria, MACBAN, has rejected a bill that seeks to establish a national agency for the regulation and management of ranches in Nigeria. MACBAN's national president, Alhaji Baba Usman Al-Ghezarma, announced the association's opposition to the bill at the weekend while speaking to newsmen in Damaturu shortly after the inauguration of the State Executive Council of the association. He said the Ministry of Livestock and Fishery Development should be created instead. Meanwhile, a bill for an act to ban open grazing and establish ranches in an antidote to the perennial clashes between sedentary farmers and nomadic herders in Nigeria scaled a second reading after a slightly heated debate in the Senate. Read for more from the Daily Post newspaper.
All right, taking the next story from Punch newspaper, Serap decries 121 trillion naira debt, 6 probe of World Bank loans. The Socio-Economic Right and Accountability Project has sent a complaint to the World Bank Inspection Panel, urging the panel to probe allegations of corruption in the spending of the loans and other funding facilities obtained by the federal government and Nigeria's 36 state governors, and to review the implementation of all bank-funded projects by successive governments since 1999. Serap maintained that despite money loaned to Nigeria by the World Bank over the decades, many citizens are still living in poverty and hardship till date. Serap urged the inspection panel to determine the extent to which the bank management has followed or is following the World Bank operational policies and procedures applicable to the design, appraisal, and implementation of all bank-financed projects in Nigeria. Serap also urged the panel to determine the effect of any failure by the bank management to effectively implement its operational policies and procedures in all bank-funded projects in several states on the social and economic right and well-being of millions of socially and economically vulnerable Nigerians. We have a long read here coming from Serap this morning. That's from Punch newspaper.
This day newspaper has this one. Federal government to commence the construction of additional 2,000 housing units in 8 states in Nigeria. The Minister of Housing and Urban Development, Minister of Housing and Urban Development Ahmed Dangiwa yesterday announced that the federal government was set to officially flag off construction works for additional 2,000 housing units in 8 states in the south and north central zone of the country. A statement from the minister's spokesperson, Mark Chishie, said that this is in continuation of the groundbreaking ceremonies for the renewed Hope Cities and Estate, which began earlier. He listed the states slated for the exercise, including Ebonyi State, Abia, Akure Ibom, Delta, Osun, Oyo, Benue, and Nasarawa. The nationwide groundbreaking exercise is set a sequel to the official launch of the housing program by President Bola Tinubu in February 2024. The schedule for the flag off of the construction activities will begin with 250 housing units in Ebonyi State on Wednesday, June 26, 2024, followed by 250 units in Abia come 27th, and 250 units in Akure Ibom on Friday 28th, as well as 250 units in Delta States on Sunday 29th, 2024. Other states are 250 units spaced in Osun, Oyo, Benue, Nasarawa, bringing the total to 2,000 housing units in the 8 states. Read for more this morning from this day.
All right, taking the next story from Punch newspaper, 50 reps write Tinubu plead for Nnamdi Kanu's release. About 50 members of the House of Representatives spread across the 6 geopolitical zones of the country under the aegis of the concerned federal lawmakers for peace and security in the southeast have appealed to President Bola Tinubu to invoke Section 174 of the Constitution of Nigeria 1999 as amended and Section 107 subsection 1 of the Administration of Criminal Justice Act 2015 to release the leader of the indigenous people of Biafra, Nnamdi Kanu, from the custody of the Department of State Services. The lawmakers, elected on the platform of different political parties, in a letter addressed to President Tinubu dated June 19, 2024, urged the first citizens to commence a peace move to address the insecurity challenges in the southeast. Some of the signatories of the 3 pages letter include Obi Agochi Abia, Ikenga Ugochinyere, that's from Imo, Afam Ogene Anambra, Muhammad Jajire Yobe, Aliyu Mustafa Kaduna, Medala Balami Borono, and Ambiate Hawaji Inombek, Rivers State. The IPOB leaders had last week expressed his desire to have the treason charges filed against him by the government settled out of court. Punch newspaper has details of the story.
Joining you on Punch newspaper, NMDC shifts $700 million of gas pipeline delivery date to August. The delivery date for the completion of the 700 million Obiafu Bricom Oben gas pipeline project, popularly called OB3, has been shifted to March 2024 from March 2024 to August this year, as the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited announced its readiness to complete the facility on February 28 this year. Newsman reported that the federal government had declared that the project will be completed in March this year, a project that commenced in 2016. It announced in February through the Minister of State for Petroleum Resources and Gas, Ekperigbe Ekpo, at the 7th Nigerian International Energy Summit in Abuja, where the minister described the OB3 gas pipeline as one of the biggest gas transmission system in both Nigeria and Africa. All right, let's wait and see, of course, if this will bring some celebration, in Nigeria.
Let's wait and see. Let's keep our fingers crossed. So, in a relating development this morning from Punch newspaper, crude price hike. Dangote alleges IOC's frustrating refinery. Right to that, Dangote accuses NMDPRA of granting licenses to operators to import dirty fuel. Vice President of Oil and Gas at Dangote Industries Limited, Devan Kumar Edwin, has accused the international oil companies in Nigeria of plans to frustrate the survival of the new Dangote oil refinery and petrochemicals. Edwin said the IOCs were deliberately and willfully frustrating the refinery's effort to buy local crude by hiking the cost above the market price, thereby forcing the refinery to import crude from countries as far as the United States, which is attendant high cost. Speaking to newsmen at a one-day training program organized by the Dangote Group on Friday, Edwin also accused the Nigerian Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority of granting licenses indiscriminately to marketers to import dirty refined products into the country. According to Edwin, the federal government issued 25 licenses for the construction of refineries in Nigeria, but only the Dangote Group delivered on each promise. While calling for the government support, the vice president noted that more than 3.5 billion liters of diesel and aviation fuel had been exported to Europe by the refinery in the past few months. The exported fuel, it said, represented about 90% of its production. Check for more of the story from Punch newspaper this morning.
Punch newspaper has this as well. 332 farmers killed amid rising food inflation, says a report. At least 332 farmers have been killed in attacks across the country since the beginning of this year. The attack, which has been dominant in the northern parts of the country, were carried out by bandits and Boko Haram as well as Islamic State of West Africa province terrorists. The number of farmers killed counted based on news report. Some incidents include the death of 13 farmers caused by improvised explosive devices planted by Boko Haram in Goza local government area of Borno State in January 2024. In February, bandits killed 6 farmers and killed 20 women at Maganda Junction in Alawa Pangodari, a road in Shiro local government area of Niger State. Other incidents include the death of over 50 farmers in Wade, Plateau State, 30 farmers killed in 2 farming communities in Zamfara, as well as 17 farmers killed in Kwankara, a local government area of Katsina State. The numbers keep growing, and of course we hope that that will stop, and our security personnel will have more intelligence as well as tools to combat this banditry.
Amen to that. Because it affects us all. All right, the next story from Punch newspaper. APC PDP differ on chances in Edo poll. The All Progressives Congress in Edo State has said its candidate for the September 21 governorship election, Monday Okpebolo, is better placed to win the poll. But the ruling People's Democratic Party dismissed the claim, expressing confidence to retain power in the state. According to the APC, unlike the candidate of the PDP, Asue Igodalo, and its Labour Party candidate, Olumide Apata, who grew up outside Edo State, Okpebolo is a homeboy and will easily win the heart of the people. The chairman of the Edo State APC, Jared Tenebe, who spoke to newsmen on Sunday, said the state will stop Governor Godwin Obaseki from extending his tenure using Igodalo. He added that the APC did not consider Akpata of the Labour Party as a real threat. Tenebe said, "For me, I don't know about the Labour Party and Olumide Apata, but I know that Asue Igodalo is not a politician and he doesn't even vote here. He was just registered about a few weeks ago and will be spending the government house money, the government money through Obaseki. I think we have had enough of Obaseki." For more on the story, you can check Punch newspaper.
All right, this morning from the Guardian newspaper, Labour Party insists on OB as a 2027 presidential candidate. The Labour Party Directorate on Mobilization and Integration has denied any plan to dump Peter Obi as the party's candidate ahead of the 2027 presidential election. The Directorate was reacting to a report which hinted that he had reconciled with Lamidi Apapa-led faction of the party and agreed to field another candidate in the next election. According to the report, camps of the incumbent national chairman, Julius Abore, and Apata faction laying claim to the mantle of leadership have agreed to sit their sword and work together. Spokesperson of the Apapa faction, Abayomi Arabambi, also hinted that there was nothing like Obidati presidential campaign at the party anymore, saying it had been dissolved and everybody revert to former governorship and presidential candidates. Read for more from the Guardian newspaper.
Right, the next story. Emirate tussle cannot to renovate mini place with 99.9 million naira. The Kano state government said it had earmarked 99.9 million naira for the renovation of the Nasarawa mini palace, where the deposed Emir Aminu Ado Bayero is currently staying. The Dictate Commissioner for Information, Aliyu Dantiye, disclosed this while briefing newsmen on the outcome of the State Executive Council meeting held on Saturday. The commissioner said the money was for the renovation of the defective wall or fence and surroundings at the Nasarawa Emir's Palace. Recall that the state government had on Thursday night, through the Commissioner of Justice Haruna Dederi, directed the Commissioner of Police to evict Bayero from the palace ahead of demolition and renovation of the place. But Dariye said the government earmarked 8.6 billion naira for various projects around health, education, water supply and agriculture, among others. He said, and I quote, renovation and re-award of contract for the construction of post-midwifery institutes at Gezawa local government area at the cost of 770 million naira, reconstruction and renovation of defective wall, fence and surroundings at Nasarawa's Emir's Palace at the cost of 99.9 million naira. Others are rehabilitation of water supply infrastructure at government house at the cost of 126 million naira, the release of funds for the procurement of essential drugs and welcome packs for newborns, free mental, neonatal child health and free accidental emergency at the cost of 165 million naira. More on the story, get down to Punch newspaper.
The Guardian newspaper bears this one. Cholera APC chieftain wants governors against the diversion of 260 billion naira PHCS fund. And it comes to several writers this morning. Minister decries high debt rates as Lagos supplies water to residents. RDI says outbreak exposes poor water access integrity. Firm calls for pharmacy precautionary measures, hygiene. Against the backdrop of cholera outbreak in Lagos and other states in the country, APC chieftain in Osun State, Olatunbosun Oyetiloye, has warned state governors against the diversion of 260 billion naira recently released for primary F centers, PHCS, by President Bola Tinubu. You can read for more this morning from the Guardian newspaper. And Solid Mineral Minister is also speaking. It says Solid Mineral boost foreign reserves by $5 million.
All right, before we draw the curtain on the first segment of issues in the dailies, a quick look at the story from Punch newspaper. Nigerians borrow 3.9 trillion naira as economic crisis bites harder. Nigerians affected by the rising cost of living obtained credit facilities worth of 3.82 trillion naira from banks as of January 2024, the Central Bank of Nigeria has stated. An analysis of the latest monthly economic reports posted on its website revealed that the total consumer credit rose by 11.9% to 3.82 trillion naira in January 2024, driven mainly by the rise in personal loans off the back of heightened inflation. On a year-on-year basis, the figure represented an increase of 1.41 trillion naira from 2.41 trillion naira recorded in January 2023. More on the story, you can check Punch newspaper. We take a break. When we are back, we have our analyst join us. Please stay with us.
life, I can't keep myself.
Relaxation is the foundation for success. It creates space for clarity, creativity, and breakthrough. Wait. When last did you get a good break? Veta's exclusive apartment is here for you and your friends, families, and guests.
Allow me to flex.
It's always a soft luxury at Veta's exclusive apartment with smart bedrooms, spacious living spaces, parking lot, and free Wi-Fi to stay connected. Well-equipped kitchen for your tasties at a serene environment with 24-hour security and power supply. So come and lodge, camp, or get a VIP rest with privacy at Veta's exclusive apartment at number 1 F4 Lion Street inside the Japo Estate, Akure, Ondo State. For reservations, call 0902-917-7098. Tell a friend to tell a friend that Vita's exclusive apartment in Japo Akure is affordable, welcoming, and safe to stay for memories.
Myself, I can't keep myself.
Alright, thanks for sticking around. Still the issues in the dailies coming to you live from Glow 99.1 FM, transmitting from inside the Japo Estate, Akure. Alright, you can also join the conversation this morning before our analyst comes in, or right after him, through the studio lines 0805 551 1110. 0805 551 1110 and the second line 0706 677 1822 0706 677 1822. We now have Ambassador Kule Adeloye join us this morning. He's a public affairs analyst and social affairs commentator. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Michael, and good morning, the Queen of the Airwaves, Ayola Fatokun. Happy New Working Week to you, and good morning.
Thank you, Ambassador.
At home.
Thank you, Ambassador. Thanks for joining us. So, let's begin with this statement credited to Dangote Air from Punch newspaper this morning. He said he is alleging IOCs of frustrating refineries in Nigeria. He also accused NMDPRA of granting licenses to operators, to import dirty fuel. What do you make of this allegation?
Well, we're just praying to God and at the same time begging our government and government agencies and those at the pinnacle of governmental affairs to be more patriotic. This enterprise that we all call as this belongs to all of us. You see the sufferings that Nigerians are passing through. You have sent what I call a note of caution that all of us must come back on the same page now to see the possibility of reducing the penchant for corruption so that things will be done. If all these personal interests are not taken from our thoughts by taking decision, then the hardware's escalated cost and others be a going concern. And when it continues like that, we know the implication on our inflation and everything that we are buying in this country. So, for God's sake, people should be able to do the needful and the right thing with the interest of Nigeria at heart, so that we can get things right. If Dangote buy fuel into the operation of Nigeria, we all felt that this should bring the prices of fuel and other products down a bit. If this happens, this might be a sort of a bit of relief for Nigerians. But if licenses are dished out without due process, and some people are cutting corner, doing all manners of things, frustrating all these Dangote and others that can likely come and intervene into this price. There is no way we can be buying refined product from outside of the country that the prices of getting them will not be higher than the local production. So we must encourage Dangote. And again, this issue, we are trying to gloss over it. If Dangote as individual could start the operation of a refinery in Nigeria, the question you and I should beg our government, why is it impossible to get our own refinery back on track? Why? We need to know. It's because some people are feeding fat on all these type of undercut arrangements, making stupendous money into their pocket at the expenses of you and I, who are buying at very exorbitant prices. People should fear God and should please put the interests of Nigeria in their heart so that things could get normalized. This is my take.
All right, Ambassador, President Tinubu is out, this morning to call out every other person, drawing salaries from the civil service in Nigeria, but not residents in Nigeria. And he equally remembered that this could not just happen without the help of heads of departments, accountants, of various MDAs and others. Do you think, this is something that has been happening over the years and maybe, leaking government funds?
Yes, this issue of people taking employment with the government, either directly or indirectly, and at the end of the day, they will leave that work, travel abroad, yet they are still earning salary. I think it is criminal. It should be condemned outrightly. But this is fraud of highest order. And like you have just asked, they cannot succeed in carrying this out without the help of the MDAs and ministries that are supporting them, because of course they are benefiting from it. And let me tell you, if thorough auditing, personal auditing is carried out, you will discover that some of these people that they say they are in abroad never existed in the first place.
Ghost workers.
They use a fictitious ghost name. Ghost workers to collect this money. This cannot be done by the junior officers. It cannot be carried out by these people that are receiving very huge salary and they are still using that one. This is why we need to be serious in this country. Today, there is this logjam between the government and labor as to what we serve we considered as the minimum wage. The government is looking at the number of the workforce that we have in this country, but the labor as well is looking at what can be considered as a living wage. So, and they are yet to meet, they are yet to agree at a certain amount, despite the fact that some of these people that we claim that we are fighting for are not working, but they are earning, they are being paid what they are not working for. So when we are blaming the government that the government is not doing the needful, we should also blame the workers and the head of department and other corrupt personnel that they should not kill the goose that is laying golden egg.
Ambassador,
when we say the egg is not good, is the leg also good? So it's corruption. They should be made to face the music. Everyone involved should be thoroughly punished for it.
Ambassador, now I actually want to know. I want to know.
Sorry. Let me just add this. Okay.
Continue.
I'm listening.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I was going to. Okay, land your point, sir. Land your point. Ambassador, are you there?
Okay, well, I was just trying to summarize my statement. Is that yes, I'm listening to you. I'm with you. Are you with me?
Yeah, continue.
Yes, someone was sentenced to a prison. Someone was sentenced to a prison recently, I think last week, because he stole just 1,000 naira. And some people are stealing very big amount, and they are still there as chief executive. What is the rationale behind this thing? So anything that has offended must be made to be burnt with fire for this. Thank you.
Right. I was going to ask you that, I mean, who has the right to sell slots of jobs, to job seekers? And don't you think, slot selling is, increasing this practice of people ghosting their work, and even after they are outside the country or even somewhere in Nigeria, not report for work, but get paid? Because before they came in, they paid for slot as well. Mm-hmm. Who has the right to sell slots? Is it legal?
I don't think there is any law anywhere in our Eastern rule or anywhere in Nigeria that gives somebody right to sell slots for what? For what?
But people do.
For what? Yes, they are doing it. And that is why we say it is criminal. People must be made to face the music of corrupt act. How to use slots? How? And they will advertise on pages of newspaper that they want to recruit. People should obtain form, whereas the innocent Nigerian will obtain form for jobs that are not available. Job that the officers, the boss, has already ceded to their cronies, so to people that are not living. And when they collect that for money again from those that doesn't have anything, they will make them to suffer all manner of strenuous exercise. I know they will tell them that they are not employed, whereas they have ceded it to those that are not existing. So it is criminal. People, that's why I ask for personal audit. When these people are found to know that this is not existing, let us back to where when they claim that they have been employed by who supervise, who interview, who approve the employment to go down those to face the boss of some big scapegoats.
All right, Ambassador.
Gradually.
All right, Ambassador. Thank you for that analysis. Now to this issue of the leader of the indigenous people of Biafra, IPOB, in person of Nnamdi Kanu, some rep members, about 50 of them, they are urging the president to release Nnamdi Kanu, that now that he has realized his mistakes, and also said he wants negotiations and also wants, settling out of court. So do you agree to this too?
If that is the way to go to ensure that peace return to Nigeria and that the rights of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is not infringed upon, so be it. But I just want to add this as my personal opinion. Nnamdi Kanu has stayed long a time in prison without proper process of trial, or the other. This is what I condemn in totality. If someone is alleged to have committed any offense, let there be seamless process of law to try that person as to prove his guilt or otherwise. And if he's found not to have committed any offense, for Christ's sake, let the court so pronounce so that the person can go back home. But for someone to have been in prison for more than 2-3 years for different charges that change you every day, killing him indirectly without even convicting him, this is what I condemn. If the can want political solution, because for him, he has seen that these people are not making headway in his trial. Instead of him to die in the prison, that's why he's not begging for political solution. If political solution,
maybe the federal government enjoys keeping him.
I don't know why he should be. He's a Nigerian. Whatever offenses that he must have committed, let the law speak to it and let it deal it, instead of killing him gradually by keeping
Ambassador, even some people are saying this, that you are saying the president has been sentimental because the president extended some gesture through his office to Attorney General, to the activist Omoyele Sowore, who was charged with treasonable felony, and people think they thought
that was similar.
Of course,
this scenario that brought in the Kanu today is entirely different from that Omoyele Sowore. We shouldn't mix the two together and see the two as one and the same. They are two.
I think they were both declared as being engaged in anti-state activities.
Yes, anyone can make any statement depending on status of the resources. So those that make that statement, they are not the interpreters of our law. It is the court that will interpret our law and confirm whether the allegation levied against you is right or wrong. Thank you.
All right, Mietiala are insisting that they want a Ministry of Livestock Development rather than the bills being passed about, ranches and all of that. Makban National President Alhaji Usman Baba Ingel Zarma has actually announced his opposition to the bill the weekend. Do you think it will be simple to do, or you think it's logical to provide a whole ministry to livestock in Nigeria, even when some zones of the country are still asking, who are human beings, are asking, for ministries to take care of them? For example, the southwest of Nigeria does not have any ministry in charge, of its welfare. The south has Niger Delta. You have northwest development, commission and all of that. So now, the ATLI is asking for this. Is this something too much to ask, or you think it is time to use this to solve other problems?
You see, in democracy, it gives a lot of freedom to anyone to make requests. Making requests can never be considered to be a criminal offense. But for those asking such is for them to and consider the veracity of your. It can be to ensure unity and peace progress into this country. So it is one of his rights to make such claim is not reasonable. It cannot be seen to be acceptable, because if you're asking for a ministry for the livestock alone, maybe like you said, there are some other bills, there are some other requests that other people are making. When all these requests are granted, then how many ministries are we going to have that will take care of interests of various sectors in this country? But I can assure you, such a request can't stay true. Don't let us waste our time on it. It is just one of the rights that are enshrined in our constitution for a citizen to ask for whatever he likes. But what you are saying might not hold water.
All right.
That is my take.
All right, Ambassador. Thank you for your time this morning.
Thank you very much for having me. Have a lovely working week ahead.
And you too.
And you
Bye.
too. Bye.
Thanks. All right, it's time to join the conversation this morning via the studio lines 0805 551 1110, 0805 551 1110, or the second line 0706 677 1822, 0706 677 1822. You can comment with your calls this morning. And of course, from this day newspaper, NUJ wants politicians against attack on journalists. The Nigerian Union of Journalists has actually given that caution this morning. Hello.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah, this is Shola from Akure.
All right, Ola. Thanks for joining us. Let's have your comments.
Yes, I want to speak briefly about the issue of people, civil servants not in the country and then see any salary. You see, the question we should ask ourselves is, okay, let me put it this way. It's a result of over-centralization. And the IPPIS is the major culprit. You see, let me give you an analogy. Somebody is working at Akure, maybe at the federal secretariat, or maybe at a federal institution, and the person drops of resignation. If it were the days in which salaries are monitored locally, the boss in that office will stop the salary. But now, nobody can stop the salary unless you go to IPPIS in Abuja. And who will go there with what?
Sir, what if that person got on the wrong toes of his or her boss? What if the boss has, the rights, or let me, not the right this time around, but of course the tool to stop the person's salary unnecessarily?
No, what I'm saying is, that there's an internal mechanism.
That's it.
For example, the federal institution will have a governing council that can stop the salary of the staff, who
Okay.
has resigned.
Okay.
But now, nobody can stop the salary of the staff locally. You have to go to IPPIS Abuja to stop the salary. And who will go there with what funds? And the bureaucracy involved. Then, secondly, the issue of selling slots. Is it you and I that are selling slots? No. The answer is no. They know themselves, the people that are selling slots. And it can't stop unless the political class decide to do the right thing with Nigeria. Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning. Your name and your location.
My name is Olufemi. I'm calling from Akure.
Go ahead.
I briefly want to talk about two things. First, concerning Nnamdi Kanu. Let us not insinuate as if the federal government is happy keeping him in detention. The matter of Kanu has gone even up to Supreme Court. Supreme Court of Nigeria said Kanu should go back to the trial court to go and face terrorism charges. So it's not as if I'm not defending federal government and I'm not defending Kanu, but it's not as if federal government is happy keeping Kanu Nnamdi in detention. The second aspect I want to talk about is the issue of I heard that maybe Southwest of Nigeria does not have any commission taking care of its interest. What commission does Southwest need? The Niger Delta you are talking about, the resources from that Niger Delta is being used. But what resources do we have in Southwest? The governors have been receiving billions of naira in addition as revenue. What is the result?
The Afeni of this world might not like, that statement, and those who are overseeing affairs of the southwest part of Nigeria, not just peculiar to Southwest, every other zone in Nigeria might be asking for this. All right, keep the calls coming. 0805 551 1110 or 0706 677 1822. Quite a number of headlines that we read to your listening this morning. Equally from Osun State, Osun APC tackles Adeleke over sack of health workers. Hello.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
Everything we are talking about today is on our politics, either we like it or not. Why are they keeping Nnamdi Kanu? Why? What was the main reason are they setting him? They said they jumped bail. You remember after he was given bail, because it's one of the reasons they said if they allow him to leave, he may jump bail again. But the question he threw to them through his lawyer, the federal government could not answer.
He was giving bail. Later, the military, they sent military to his house. They killed many people and the guy flew away. Do they expect him to stay like what they do to from Sunday ago? Do they expect him to stay and to be killed? You are now saying jump bail. You give it somebody bail. Is it true that you send military? Who sent military to his house?
All right.
To go attack him and kill people there.
Thank you.
You are not saying telling the people why the guy run. You are saying he ran. But you did not tell the public what happened to the guy in his house.
Before he started running.
You only say he was giving bail and he jumped bail, but you are not saying the reason why the guy jumped bail. And one of the things that guy was hammering for that time was that Nigerians are not well organized. We are cheating ourselves. Today, what are you talking about now?
All right, thank you for calling the radio station.
Without taking care of the state, you are talking about senators collecting our money without accounting for. You are talking about giving tickets to people who they employ, and we did not even by the time they give the employee to the people.
All right, thank you, Nademola. Thank you for calling us this morning.
Come again.
We appreciate you for calling us.
We do not have too much time.
Let me give you the last point.
All right.
Lastly, when you now say they are giving the ticket to people, you are not talking about people who are collecting salaries. Can they account for those who are collecting salary? That is why our government is enjoying this kind of democracy.
All right.
It's not working. Have a great day.
All right. Well, sorry for overstretching this morning. Of course, is the wrap on the issues in the dailies. My name is Mike Femi Alim. Join us for sport by 7:30 to 8.
Ayola Fatukun is my name. Thanks for listening. Good morning.